the PNC Roundtable.
Hello, this is Rick DeVore, Regional President of PNC Bank, and thank you for listening to PNC Roundtable, celebrating its 5th year. It's on this show that we tackle some of the region's top issues with people who truly make a difference in our region.
Welcome in to our PNC Roundtable special edition. We're in New York City, and the reason we're in New York City is the Detroit Symphony Orchestra came back to Carnegie Hall for the first time in 17 years. And, in fact, because of Rick DeVore and PNC, the Paul W. Smith Show broadcast live from New York City on this very special occasion. It in fact, has been a very, very special occasion, has it not? Just been incredible, Rick?
Oh, it's been outstanding. Great weather, great symphony. It's been great so far.
Something that would make all of Detroit proud. And, in fact, by now, you've seen the pictures, you've read the stories, and we're going to get a little more in-depth with Ann Parsons, the President and CEO of our Detroit Symphony Orchestra. Ann, congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
And the Chairman of the Board of the Detroit Symphony Orchestra and the Foundation, Phillip Fisher. Congratulations to you, Phillip.
Thank you, Paul W. It's an honor.
It is a big, big deal that happened here in New York City with our Detroit Symphony Orchestra. Important for a very important stakeholder in our cultural community. We remember how important the DSO is, and at a time like this, what a great representative of the city of Detroit it is on this big stage in New York City and on the world stage.
Well, the trip to New York to me was more about Detroit than it was New York. We had 1,000 people attending both concerts who were passionate about the DSO in our city. It has a lot to do with the resurgence, not just of the city, but of the DSO and where we're going as it relates to the importance of culture in our community.
And it just so happens, and the concerts were pretty doggone good. You know, we had the chance to speak with Maestro Leonard Slatkin, who's been on this stage many, many, many times from the time he was a young student at Juilliard. But everybody rose to the occasion and represented the Detroit Symphony Orchestra well.
Well, you know, symphony orchestras are often used in business when people talk about collaboration, teamwork, communication skills. All of that is what we all aspire to have in our businesses, and that's what happened on stage and happens every night, I have to say, in Orchestra Hall and out in our neighborhoods. And this is a wonderful, outstanding orchestra, individually and collectively, and their partnership and teamwork with Leonard has grown over the years, and it was as if it all came to a head in a way at Carnegie Hall in front of the standing, screaming crowds. Eclectic, diverse program, showing off all aspects of the orchestra, soloists, ensemble, the power, the subtlety, all of it was on show.
It really was. And our host of the PNC Roundtable, Regional President Rick DeVore of PNC, you know, we talk about the DNA of PNC, and oftentimes it's about the children's programs and the early education opportunities and important programs that you spearhead. This is another part of the PNC DNA.
Oh, it really is. And, you know, we talk a lot when we talk about children, for instance, people forgetting the arts, right? And as you know, part of our program is the arts. The arts are just, they have to be present for a vibrant community. They just have to be. And I think what Ann and Phillip are doing, and I now would say myself, as being a board member, is just so vital to the community.
It is vital to our community and important to make a trip like this. You know, it's real easy for people to say, who cares what New York thinks or what New York is all about? But the reality is, this is New York City. Though we think some of us Orchestra Hall is better than Carnegie Hall, the reality is Carnegie Hall and very important indeed. But as you put it earlier, Phillip Fisher, as chairman of the board, this really is about Detroit. It's not about New York.
Yeah, our spirit is irrepressible, and when we have an opportunity to bring hundreds of Detroiters here who are donors and patrons to witness the DSO on a world stage, it's very impactful. I had goosebumps last night when we were waving our flags, and the pride of the city is alive in New York.
And then the last couple of seasons, is it my imagination, Ann Parsons as president and CEO of the DSO, is it my imagination, or has this last couple of seasons been really full of new initiatives at the DSO?
You're absolutely right, Paul. We have been trying to reinvent ourselves every month, every week, every year. We've thought about access as a main point of connection with our community, access with good prices, access by going out into the community and playing concerts, not only in our beautiful orchestra hall, but in the neighborhoods. We have 6 venues where we are going multiple times a year. We're building a subscription audience in our neighborhoods all over Metro Detroit. And then, of course, we have our digital program, which is allowing the DSO, this great artistry of our orchestra in Orchestra Hall, great acoustic, all around the world. People are watching us. Hundreds of thousands of people in 70, 80 countries are thinking about Detroit and thanking us, essentially, for bringing music to their homes, wherever they are, inspiring them, comforting them. That's what music does. So access has been at the core of it, and then all of the things that we've been doing have all been different. They've all been new. A lot of experimenting and great rewards at the other side of that.
Let's talk a little bit about this, the community-supported orchestra and the community outreach. And we've talked before on the morning show and even here on our PNC Roundtable about the orchestra going out into the community and the effect that has on the community. We know that the people love it when you come to them. But you know what I've never asked is, what's the effect on the organization itself? What's the effect on the musicians and on all of you?
Well, the musicians have taken to this of their free will and very passionate about connecting with the community. So our hospital work, our school work, our civic youth ensemble work is very important to inculcate music into the spirit and soul of our children and our elderly and the people who we love dearly in our community.
And that's an important thing to note. And again, it goes back to sponsorship as PNC, as General Motors Foundation, and so many others. I can't name them all, but all very important because we're in a process of rebuilding. And that has to mean recapitalization, refunding, or coming up with a stream of funding that isn't something that we're always running to. And, oh, it's time to do this. Oh, boy, we better have to run and do that. We need to get this all in order so that we just continue. Because as we've discussed, and I'll turn to you on this, Rick, the makings of a great city, and that's where Detroit is on the way back to being a whole new great city. For those of us who've lived elsewhere, you say, well, what's the city offer? What is it? How are the schools? What about the cultural institutions? Well, look, we've got a great art museum now with Graham Beale doing a nice job. We got the opera, David DeKira, doing a great job. Symphony we're talking about. Even the zoo. How's the zoo? And Ron Kagan doing a great job. All these things are important as a businessman for you, bringing people into Detroit, and all important for the people already living here.
It really is. I think there's 2 parts to that. One, the outreach through technology, especially with young people. I think young people now are not making decisions on jobs. They're making decisions on place, then the job. And these things are all part of place. And we didn't do it that way. I'm going to speak for myself here, being older, not for my 2 guests here. But, you know, I think the young people now are really looking at place. And we're part of it, and we're really in there looking for shelf space in their time. They're busy people. That's why different ways to deliver the symphony is so important, in my opinion. And it's not going to change. This is not a one-time thing and it's going away. I think it's with us forever. And I think it's all about place, and I think we're well on our way. Ann, I don't know.
I totally agree, and I've lived in a number of cities, great cities, and
like this one.
Never loved living in a place as much as I've loved living in Detroit, and I think about that all the time and ask myself why. And part of it is the spirit of Detroit, of course. There's this fighting community spirit that I just am so passionate about, and I want to be part of it. I have been part of it, and look forward to, and have brought up my own daughter there, and she loves it. And she comes to New York. She goes around, and I see exactly what you're talking about. The kids of today have the world available to them. They can go anywhere. They learn things online. A lot of things, they don't even have textbooks anymore in many cases. So the fact that we're able to share our art form digitally is really, really important. And I think that the whole issue of place is right. And right now, the place to be is actually Detroit.
It is.
Everybody's been saying that in New York.
We said it before on the air. And in Chicago, the new head of MOCAD, Alicia, I can't remember her last name, Alicia came from Chicago to Detroit, which we didn't get to say too much in the last several years. people are finding, and we find through our program Opportunity Detroit, that there really is a lot of opportunity in Detroit, but the number of young people who are coming here from Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, everywhere else, saying this really is the place where there's great opportunity. But along the way, there's got to be a little something we offer them as well, and that's what we're talking about here.
Right.
And the expats are coming back. I know a lot of children who fled after college to go to other places for jobs.
Because we didn't have the
opportunities. But I know these millennial generation, the ones that want to do good and do well at the same time, are now seeing Detroit as a wonderful place to invest their heart and make money to make the community better. When you think about the four cornerstones of a vital economy, that being jobs and talent retention, education, and security, cultural opportunities play a very important part in the weave of keeping them there. It's the mortar of the foundation. And I think the DSO has a unique place in that mortar.
Well,
I think
that's
so
the
too.
Midtown. We're also a part of Midtown, and it's so exciting to be in Midtown right now. Whole Foods opening up any second. The number of buildings going up, apartments. Can't find places for the people who are moving here. They all want to live in Detroit. They can't find a place to live because there aren't enough places, and so it's all driving the economics of the city in so many ways, and it's pretty exciting.
And Parsons, President and CEO of the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, Phillip Fisher is the chairman of the board. Of course, our co-host, the regional president of PNC, Rick DeVore. It's not just us blowing our own horn. Let's go back to why we're here in New York City. Carnegie Hall, first time back in 17 years. But the reality is, with all of the symphony orchestras that have been invited to this series of concerts, we're the only one that was asked to do 2 nights. That's a big deal, and I don't want that to just go slipping by. That's not because we say we should do it. It's because they understand and recognize this world-class Detroit Symphony Orchestra.
Right. Well, the concerts here have been spectacular, and again, 2 very different programs. This young woman who was with us the first night, Storm Large, theatrical,
very theatrical, great job,
just beautiful artist. Connected with the audience, connected with the role she was playing. She became that role, and the theater of it all, I think, is something people don't always expect in an orchestra concert.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think the unexpected happens, and that's what we love about what we do. We're always trying to surprise and sort of create awe in the faces of our audiences, and that feeds us. And we certainly had that in the first concert. And then, of course, the 4 Ives symphonies in one night, never been done before that we know of. And that was the original offer, to come and do that. And I think all of New York was looking forward to that special night. So thanks to PNC, thanks to General Motors Foundation, thanks to the Davidson Foundation. And I say all that because we are a community-supported orchestra. Fees do not pay the way for an orchestra to come to Carnegie Hall. We cannot do any of what we do without sponsorship. But that's true in Orchestra Hall. That's true about our neighborhood series. It's true about Carnegie Hall. So, of course, we're trying to rebuild our endowment. That will be coming. We've got a 10-year plan to put the orchestra back on really solid footing. And some people think that's a long time, but we're staying with it, and it will take 10 years. And at the end of that period, I think we're all going to look back at this time and say, boy, we worked hard. But we got there, and it's completely worth it.
No, it is, absolutely. And frankly, if it wasn't, PNC wouldn't be involved.
I think that's accurate. My goal, and I think Philip's goal, is to have Ann worrying about programming and other outreach and not about the financial situation. And I think we're on our way. It's a journey, but I think we're definitely on our way, and we're just real excited to be part of that.
And good reason to be excited. We have world-class musicians. That's been well established. I was so proud watching these musicians that are just incredible. In fact, I got to tell you the truth. I was thinking, I don't know her name, but the first chair violinist.
Yun-Shin Song.
Oh, let me
Isn't
tell you.
that a beautiful
Is she
name?
relatively new?
She's been with us a year. Yes, just this year.
Because she is so athletic, theatrical.
Yeah.
She is... I'm feeling the music through her movement while she's playing that violin, and I thought, that doesn't come cheap. This woman could play in any orchestra in the world and be the top. So I was, honest to God, I have to tell you the truth, I was sitting there going, man, I bet she makes a lot of money, which then you add that up with a lot of people and you go, pretty expensive to have a world-class orchestra.
The orchestra has amazing talent, not just Yun Sheen, but so many others that are binding together in a sound that you just can't replicate.
There are a lot of new faces on the stage, and in addition to all of those new musicians, the DSO has a new board chair as of January, and I'm just wondering, Phillip, if you could tell us a bit about what maybe you'd like to achieve during your tenure as chairman.
Yes, thank you, Paul. That's a great opportunity. I think the organization is exactly in a point of capitalization of so many things. So culturally, aligning not just with ourselves but the community, creating this fiscal sustainability that comes from endowment, actually, and then reaching out into the community in a way we never have before. These community concerts are very important, but with the webcasting offering we have, we're starting to redefine what community means to us. So we have an incredible opportunity right now to bind together and get to that next level, Paul.
I'm wondering, as I look through some of my notes here from when we were doing our morning show here, there's a digital box set of, I think, Beethoven, was it?
Yes, we played all the Beethoven symphonies this past season. Of course, web streamed them all, as we do, and recorded them for release digitally. We call it a box set because people still think
that's
it's
what
CDs,
we think of, yeah.
But it's a virtual box set, and you can have it for just under $20, and it's we're selling very well, and you can put it on your iPod, iPad, in your iTunes, and have Beethoven with the DSO everywhere you go.
Is this dso.org/Beethoven?
You can go to our website and download it. And
with that new technology, were you recording these the concert at Carnegie Hall?
Spring for Music has a policy of streaming everything, and so yes, we were live, and of course our.
But I know you were live, and that was excellent. And that's wonderful. But are
mean
we
for
allowed
future streams?
Are we allowed to record that and sell the DSO at Carnegie Hall? Probably not. I don't mean to step into anybody's.
That's okay.
I'm
Not
just
at
thinking.
all.
They'll be here in a minute, Paul.
Mr. Smith has left the building. What? I was asking a question.
It's a great idea.
I
It
think
is.
Next time.
It is a great idea.
I think it's necessary. I mean, this is such a big deal.
Well,
and 1,000 people came, but thousands more couldn't come.
Right.
And how wonderful! And if they missed the live stream, it would be great to say, you know what? I have the digital box set of the first time the DSO was on the stage at Carnegie Hall in 17 years, and it was magical, and I have it.
You're right. You're totally right, and that's the future.
Absolutely.
And we'll be doing
Right.
lots more of that.
But you are doing lots more. Hence the Beethoven question that I had.
We also just released a Rachmaninoff CD, Rachmaninoff's Third Symphony, on traditional CD as well as digitally, I'm sure. And it's gotten great reviews already. It's fabulous. Leonard Slatkin, Detroit Symphony Orchestra, Rachmaninoff, that rich, gorgeous sound that we can create, Russian sound.
And which was where I was trying to go with this is there a significant role in funding for the DSO through those opportunities, or is that not really?
I think that's a part of the old model, which was to be paid for when you had a record deal with a company and you produced a certain number of records in those days,
Right.
and there were royalties,
Right.
and the digital business is very different. I think there is some money to be made. But it's not the same as the old days when you had those deals, and people didn't have the computer the way they do today, and so people bought things like records in much larger volumes than they do today.
There are people who had one hit that became multimillionaires.
That's true.
And I just wondered with our Detroit Symphony Orchestra.
Well, we're going to keep working. We have a digital strategy team. It's an X team. It has musicians and staff members and board members and community members, and we're working. And through the 10-year plan, we'll continue to develop digital strategies for access, for economy, and we'll put you on that team.
That would be good. We love that.
Oh,
New
absolutely.
job.
Oh, that's what
Sounds
I need.
like you're a
another
natural.
job. Yeah. Well, I just wondered because I know you're doing everything you possibly can do, as you must, to
Right.
continue funding and getting those world-class musicians, putting
right.
on. What we've said in the beginning, that somebody who wants to move to a city wants to know once you get all this figured out with the housing prices and safety and schools, unfortunately, it's kind of that order, but the reality is to really close the deal the way we want to close the deal for Detroit is the art museum, the opera, the symphony, the zoo. I don't know what I'm missing, but those things come to mind immediately because they really matter for ourselves, for our quality of life, and for our children that we want to raise in our community.
You know, and I don't think we can underestimate the value of a sponsor to events like this and other events. Obviously, we have opportunities for sponsors that can take us to places we could never be before. PNC bringing you here is a major thing to have, you know, a Detroit person who has great repute. Broadcasting from New York is very important. The Davidson Foundation, the GM Foundation, critically important to what we can do. We've got a world-class staff led by Ann Parsons and so many others who could be anywhere in the business. We can do anything. We implement with great excellence to have an orchestra that has the kind of brilliance and excellence. There's nothing we can't do. It's just a matter of making sure that we can reconcile the sponsorships and funding with our aspirations. And our aspirations are huge. If you were to come to us and say, you know, I'd love to be able to support, do you have a program? We've got a whole list of programs that are ready and waiting.
The future is partnerships.
Yeah.
And Phillip
exactly.
is really wonderful at talking about that and living that out in his own life, and his foundation, his family foundation, has been enormously generous to education, the arts, social services. And you know, one of the changes that's going on, people are thinking about the arts as a social service, and that's a little bit of a shift, and it helps when we talk more and more about the education work that our musicians are doing voluntarily, as Phillip mentioned earlier. The hospital program's really amazing. It touches people's hearts. We have musicians who are in emergency rooms. They're working with young kids who have all kinds of things going on in their lives at a time when no one would expect to have those challenges, and music helping them through that time is an amazing healing.
Literally heal.
Yeah. And then, of course, the senior work.
And you know, it occurs to me that your fine staff had given me a couple of notes that we never did get to use, and now I can't find them as we've cleared away the area. But even here, your symphony members were going to a hospital and also, I think, maybe a assisted living home or something like that.
Exactly. They found time. It's a very busy schedule, a lot of notes to play, 2 very heavy programs, and yet several of them went out into the community because it's become a part of their lives.
It underscores how important it is to the people who are receiving such kindness, but it also goes back to the greatest gift is to give that gift to someone. That's where the greatest satisfaction comes from. It's borne out by the fact that as busy as they are in New York and were in New York City with the important concerts ahead of them and tough ones, challenging ones, they still wanted to go out and do what they do and to give that gift.
It's in their soul. Literally, when you give, it's a wonderful feeling. But they also get back tenfold from the people who are affected spiritually and physically and emotionally about what they're being provided. So it's critically important.
It's really something, isn't it, Rick?
Oh, it really is, especially when you think they're here on the world stage. I mean, this is in baseball parlance, Fenway Park or Wrigley Field, if you will. Still finding time to volunteer because they're playing tonight a completely different performance than last night.
That's right.
So it really is amazing. The one thing I wanted to add, Paul, before we finish, is I just want to make sure I add, we were talking about the energy of the first chair, which I'm not going to attempt her name. I don't want to upset her.
Yun Shin Song.
And that energy was incredible, but I would ask the listeners and the viewers to think about the energy that was after the concert in the reception. So if you know of anybody that came and you want to ask about what's going on in the symphony, where do you think they're headed, was that really as exciting as the 3 of them are making it out to be, ask one of the people that came. I mean, the energy in that room last night after the concert was also incredible, and we haven't talked about that.
You know what? It was like being in the locker room after the Red Wings won the Stanley Cup, because I was there.
Without champagne on the head.
We could have done that.
You know, we were close to doing that, but the champagne's really, really expensive at Carnegie Hall. So it was the same kind of thrill and excitement And it needs to be in our society. I've been saying it for a long time, and that's why we jumped on board the FIRST program, for Inspiration and Recognition in Science and Technology. These are the kids that we used to call nerds. Well, we elected one for governor, but we need to hoist these math whizzes, these science whizzes, these technology whizzes on our shoulders and say we're number one, just like we do the guys that come off the football field, the basketball court, a baseball diamond. And so with the Detroit Symphony Orchestra and the success of conquering, coming back and conquering Carnegie Hall, there was that kind of excitement. And when the coach got up there, he said, forget about all the other headlines. This is Detroit, and this is what we do. And I'm going, Leonard, you go, man.
That's it.
It was exciting.
Yeah.
And,
it really was.
And it needs to be, and it is. And I think, Rick DeVore, that's a great idea. Ask somebody who was here.
Yep.
Yep.
And
there
there are hundreds of them, thousands of them. We sold 750 tickets per night. We're calling it 1,000 Detroiters because a lot of people came both nights.
But a lot of people had to go home, and so
these right.
You're certainly at 1,000 plus.
And even today in the lobby, and as we're around town, people are buying tickets still. So and we're picking up people who are from Michigan. They're here, and they're so attracted to coming to their Detroit Symphony Orchestra. Once you're a Detroiter, once you're a Michigander, always, as you know.
It's true.
And there's this powerful sense of pride.
And these celebrations are so important for Detroit at every turn, that when we can put on something that's world class, we have to celebrate that. Other people would like to think differently, but we are winners. Detroit is a winning community. And
what Rick said, it makes me think about the fact that this is really a participatory sport. Mm-hmm. Going to a concert is not passive. You're part of something, an incredible experience, and it's as if it's for you, directly to you. Don't you feel that sitting in your seat when you're watching? You feel this connection, you feel the music coming over you, and then you share it with the people around you. That's one of the things that's great about live concert going. And the electricity in the hall, from the stage to the audience, back to the stage, it's a complete experience.
Well, there's actually a commercial on for a sound system, Fender and Panasonic Automotive, that says you go to a live concert, you don't just hear the music, you feel the music. And this is good music to feel.
That's right.
Scientifically, it's already been proven.
It's
a
important
spiritual fulfillment. It really
you put
is.
your feet on the floor, 2 feet on the floor, you can feel the music coming up through the floor. It's amazing. It's physical.
It is indeed. Before we get out of here, I just want to ask Phillip Fisher, chairman of the board, about Mission Throttle.
Well, Mission Throttle was started after Father passed away in 2005, and philanthropy is evolving in a major way, and what we're trying to do is learn lessons from capitalism to literally invest in philanthropy. Philanthropy has an important asset. It's called donations. But we need to be able to expand that to think about how you make social impact and get a return of and on your investment. It's a very innovative thought. The evolution's happening right now, and we're trying to lead that forward with a number of collaborators.
Sustainable strategies to create meaningful cultural change.
Exactly right.
And I'm only saying it because that's what you wrote.
Yeah.
I would not want to pretend that I came up with that as we just sat here. But that really sums it up nicely.
And we sit on the shoulders of amazing partners and collaborators like Kresge, Kellogg, Skillman, PNC Foundation, and others, and the donors who have changed our community, the Gilberts, the Nicholsons, the Applebonds. I could go on and on, the Taubmans.
Sure.
We form a weave for our community.
And Parsons, President and CEO, Phillip Fisher, Chairman of the Board, and, of course, our co-host, the guy who makes all this really happen, the Regional President of PNC, Rick DeVore. Another fine show, this one live, so to speak, from New York City.
It's been a great show, Paul, and thanks for coming, and thanks for what you do. I mean, really, I look at this as a collaboration, outreach to the community, and we use you as one of the venues, one of the throughputs to get that done.
Couldn't do it without your support. The PNC Roundtable. Thanks for being with us. We'll talk to you again next time.